I know the truth. I didn't kill Lily and Jack.
Okay, so I know the truth is the first thing he says. I know the truth. I know the truth. I believe you know the truth. I know you know the truth. And he says, I didn't kill Lily and Jack. How about Lily or Jack?
It's been 6 weeks now since you've seen Lily and Jack. I just want to ask, how are you holding up?
It's been a long 6 weeks. I know that everybody...
I know that. Exactly. Again. I know that.
basically in the world at this point is always wanted to know, like, what happened. It's been...
How about everyone is wanting to know where Lily and Jack are? What do you mean, what happened? He is 100% certain Lily and Jack will not be found alive or found, period. Like, what happened? He is worried about people finding out what happened, not people wanting to find Lily and Jack. That is out of the question already for him. His priority is not finding Lily and Jack. His priority is other people wanting to find out what happened to Lily and Jack.
From sadness to anger at this point.
Yeah,
and
right.
I know
All right. Hold your horses, homeboy.
I know the truth. I didn't kill Lily and Jack.
I know the truth. You do. That's the first thing he's telling you. He knows what happened. I didn't kill Lily and Jack. Did you kill Lily or Jack? Did you kill one of them? I want to know what happened because you know the truth. You just told me. What is the truth? That's what you don't want to tell us.
It's been 6 weeks now since you've seen Lily and Jack. I just want to ask, how are you holding up?
So good question. Even though her voice, her tone, this woman doesn't, and I think it was probably done after she interviewed the grandmother. And by that time, she already knows whom to look at. How are you holding up? The way, do you get this tone? I mean, some of you immediately recognize these things and mention them to me immediately. Like, did you hear how she said it? Yeah, I pay attention to these things as well. I pay very close attention. Even if I actually don't necessarily pay attention, but it hits me first. It gets my attention. And then I pay it. I just want to ask, how are you holding up? And even with her statement or with her question, she just wants to ask. This is not a serious question to her. She suspects him.
It's been a long 6 weeks. I know that everybody basically in the...
Immediately he goes to everybody in the world, but not to Jack and Lily.
world at this point is always wanted to know, like, what happened. It's
Always wanting to know. Always as in, we don't stop. We don't let go. When one person is done saying something, another person will. It's video after video. People are interested. And he can't fight it. They always want to know, like, what happened. We want to know where Lily and Jack are, but that doesn't enter your mind. What does enter your mind is that something happened and people want to know it. And even when I look at your body language right here, very relaxed and annoyed by people wanting to know.
It's been from sadness to anger at this point.
Yes, we know. Sadness about what exactly? Sadness that Malaya left you, turning into huge anger because you had no choice, you had no chance to keep her from leaving you this time, right? And now the anger comes up because you have to deal with it and you think none of it was your fault. Or that's what you're telling yourself because you have been able to convince Malaya previously, maybe, that everything is her fault. She went from being a very clean person and very loving with her children to living with you in complete chaos and complete dependency on you. And I believe she needed to break free, and that her mother may have encouraged her, but that didn't come from her mother alone. No way. That was something that was. And I'm not going to listen to the interview with the cousin and all of this stuff. I need to first have a couple of things verified here. You know what I mean? Because people make stuff up. I'm not saying that is made up. But the most important thing to me is what Daniel says and what Malaya says, and also what the grandmother says. That also is very important to me because she is very emotionally invested, much more than you, Daniel, and much more than Malaya, at least to the outside. So yes, he's angry because he lost complete control over how things worked in his home. It's just him now.
And I know the RCMP and major crimes are working around the clock trying to piece everything together.
Trying to piece everything together. So it's an investigation. Not trying to find Jack and Lily. No. Piece everything. This is a puzzle. And the puzzle, it was whole at one point. It was a picture. You took the puzzle, scrambled it up, and threw the pieces into the wind. And now they are trying to piece it all together and figure out what you've done.
And I'm grateful for that.
What exactly are you grateful for? Them trying and haven't been able to do it yet?
But it always leaves the question.
But he's telling you he's grateful. But he's not grateful. At least not completely.
6 weeks has gone by,
Mm-hmm.
and we know at this point they're not in the woods.
And we didn't know that before? Okay, 6 weeks have gone by. And we know at this point, no, you knew it always. But anybody else? We knew it very quickly. We saw the terrain. We knew there was no way a 4-year-old with a 20-minute head start could outrun 160 people, no matter what this idiot woman who happens to actually lead the search team has said. Oh, they're probably hiding somewhere. They may be hiding somewhere. You kidding me? Yeah, it is expected for a parent or a grandparent of a missing child, of missing children, like the grandmother, to be a lot more invested than somebody who takes his job a little, or his position a little bit too serious. and only sees his or her own position, her position in this case, and says, I don't care what these people say. Oh, but they're law enforcement. They're no. I know they're not in the woods. Yeah, you don't need to tell me that. I knew they're not in the woods. Okay, you're not telling me anything new here. Let's see if you can tell me something else.
And where are they?
Did you?
Oh. See, this sentence doesn't make any sense, right? Right? Whenever a sentence doesn't make sense, look at the sentence until right before it stops making sense. 6 weeks have gone by. And we know at this point. So now he's including the public. He's not saying I know at this point. He can't say that because he knew from the very beginning. But now he's including himself in the big picture of we. Now we're at the point where all of us, even the people who are the most, well, except that one damn woman, you know what I mean? Who's like, no, I've been doing this for 22 years and this is Hurricane Fiona and look at what, and I've been working and this is the biggest case I ever, blah, blah, blah. She sounds like Chris Proudfoot, man, who talks about like, oh, this is the biggest case in history in Tennessee. The biggest search for me, blah, 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 blah. Tunnel vision people. Don't pay too much attention to anybody with tunnel vision. Look at the big picture at all times. Know, and this is very important in plates, that you don't waste time when you know you're done wasting time on somebody's statements. You gotta move on really, really quickly. We know at this point they're not in the woods.
And where are they?
What would have been the right statement? We know they're not in the woods, and we don't know where they are. But he doesn't say that. He can't say that because he knows where Jack and Lily are. So he is now shifting from a pretty accurate statement, more or less, not 100%, but yeah, we in general, people know they're not in the woods. Finally, he said it himself. We. And suddenly he's going into a speech. Where are they? He's doing a dramatic shift. Where are they? As if he didn't know, as if he was curious to find them. And he's turning into a persona. Where are they? This is an act, and he's shifting into an act right then and there, within the same sentence. And it doesn't flow because he's not able to say, we don't know where they are. So he makes it very neutral and just turns it into a question. Where are they? You tell me. I have no clue. Do you? Okay, next question.
Did you feel in the beginning that they suspected you?
Of course. The stepfather was always a prime suspect right off the beginning.
The stepfather was always a prime suspect. No, the right sentence would be, what you're trying to tell us, or what maybe you wanted to try to tell us, is the stepfather is always a prime suspect right off the beginning. But he said was. Because when you say always, you're trying to generalize it. As in, the stepfather is always, hey, this is nothing personal. This is not about me. There was nothing specific about me, right? Nothing that I No. The stepfather is always the prime suspect right off the beginning. But he said was, because he wants to convince you this was in the past. And now, within the same sentence, he keeps it very general, always very general, but was very personal. Because you can have this as two sentences. You can say, I was a prime suspect right off the beginning, or you can say the stepfather is always a prime suspect right off the beginning, right? So he wants his cake and eat it too. On the one hand, he says, he's telling you, he's trying to convince you that this is just a routine thing. This is just very general. This is like that in every single case, except in this particular case. Now I make it about me in the same exact sentence, and it doesn't flow. You're talking about yourself, dude. But now he wants to now make it all about him being a victim of suspicion, because he is the stepfather. He hasn't done anything. He is not being looked at in any way, that other stepfathers wouldn't be looked at. Do you see what I'm saying here? When a sentence doesn't make sense, dissect it. Remember when Logan said, Malaya feels safest with here. She tried to combine two different things without committing to either. She wanted to say she feels safest with him, and she feels the safest here, which I am sure Malaya did not. And Logan could not commit to it. She wasn't able to say that Malaya feels safest with Daniel. She wasn't able to say that. Lying is hard. It is much easier to beat around the bush. It's much easier to give a certain impression or try to plant a seed in people and mislead people without lying directly. Lying directly is hard. Remember when the grand jury indicted the Ramseys, John Benet Ramsey's parents, and the DA said the grand jury, concluded its work and will not return. No charges have been filed. Something like that, right? Making it sound like the grand jury voted not to indict, but they actually did. And his office decided not to move forward with it. That is grade A deception. Trying to give the impression without giving an actual statement saying it. The stepfather was always a prime and he says a prime suspect, not the prime suspect. He keeps it very vague. And so are you telling me this was a criminal investigation from the very beginning? Suspected? What are you suspected of, Daniel? What exactly? So he is trying to give everybody the impression that he was and no longer is a prime suspect. And only for statistical reasons, because, stepfathers, there's a high percentage, the likelihood is just statistically speaking high, but nothing to do with him. And that's in the past. He isn't now. Remember that. Remember what he's trying to tell us.
You felt that from the beginning.
Yeah.
But you don't feel that now.
No.
He didn't tell us that, right? He felt this from the very beginning. Yeah, of course you did. And that's when you went out there and gave interview after interview after interview, pretending to search, trying to convince everybody that you're a good guy. And what did he tell us in the beginning? So you don't feel that now? No would be reliable by itself. Let's see.
No, I don't feel that at all. I asked for the lie detector exam.
No, I don't feel that at all. He's not telling you that he isn't the prime suspect. He says, I don't feel that at all. He's going pretty extreme. At all. At all. Why? Can you tell us more? The grandmother said Cody was told he is not a suspect anymore. They're not going to waste their time looking at him anymore, her son, the biological father. But he can only say, I don't feel that at all. Well, what do you feel? This is not really about feelings. Are you a prime suspect? Are you? Of course, now, again, he's trying to convince us that he is the one who wanted the lie detector test.
I mean, the polygraph exam.
Yeah.
I gave them my phone. I told them I, do drug tests because there's a lot of rumors online about a drug party.
Good. So there's a lot of rumors online about a drug party. Let's see.
I know the person that said those rumors, and it was just to take the heat off themselves.
Was there
Take the heat off themselves? I haven't heard anybody else being accused of anything. What involvement did this person have? That's odd, right?
any kind of party?
No,
Was there any kind of gathering that someone might have thought was a party?
no,
There were no people at the house.
no.
So, what is strange is when he says the person wanted to take a heat off themselves. About what? That would be interesting. This is reliable, people, and this is why I no longer pay attention to, oh, the cousin is calling, this person is calling, and it's not verified. I cannot allow myself to do that. This is reliable. It doesn't mean there wasn't at one point a gathering, but he says no, there were no people at the house. No. Let's see.
Not the night before.
Okay, you mentioned you offered.
Not the night before. You see? I haven't, and now I keep it like this. I haven't watched it yet. Like I say, it was reliable. There was no drug party there, no. And again, he's not the sharpest tool in the shed, man. He says, no, not the night before. There have been drug parties, but not the night before. Not on Thursday night. So, let's see this again. This is pretty damn good. Let's see the whole thing, man.
Know the person that said those rumors, and it was just to take the heat off themselves.
Was there any kind of party?
No,
Was there any kind of gathering that someone might have thought was a party?
no,
There were no people at the house.
no. Not the night before.
Okay, you mentioned you offered to take a polygraph test.
Yeah.
Did the RCMP take you up on that? You know you're a witch.
It did.
And how did that unfold?
That unfolded in my favor.
Okay, so first of all, the question was, were there people at your house? No, not the night before. Okay. So there were people around, but not the night before. That's reliable. I'm only going by the statements here. And remember all the other times he was asked certain questions and he doesn't give a simple no. No, I didn't. No. He would do too much explaining. He added too many words. A denial, a reliable denial, is very, very short. No, and to the point. No. No, I didn't. No, I didn't. And then you add the accusation. I didn't kill my wife. I didn't put the house on fire, set the house on fire. I didn't, whatever it is. That's reliable. Not no, and blah, 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 blah. You can count these words on your finger, and then you can actually write down how many words are after the reliable denial, which is either no, no, I didn't, or no, I didn't do this and that, and then, and blah, 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 blah. And then you can actually get a rating. And you put a minus in front of it. How many words in the same sentence are going to be added after the denial part? And that's how you can measure how reliable a statement is. But this was reliable. He said, no, there wasn't a drug party. So again, I want him to tell me in his own words what happened. That unfolded in my favor. Oh my God. It was a challenge to him. It wasn't, okay, let's get it over with. Okay, I'm done. Let's look for Jack and Lily. You know, John Walsh, prime example, still after decades. You know, he talked about it many times. Get the polygraph done, so then the real search can begin, because then they will stop looking at the house. But he's interested in his own favor. That's the first thing he says. And unfolded, it's almost like a Christmas present he opens up, right? Oh, let me see what's in there. Oh my God, let me see. I'm very tense. I don't know what to expect. In my favor. Okay, great. Whatever they told him seemed favorable to him.
They obviously know I wasn't lying about anything.
They obviously, remember when somebody said obvious or you know? Remember Chris Proudfoot and Katie Proudfoot. You know. Well, obviously, when somebody says obviously, it means you better believe it. I want you to believe this. I demand now that you believe it. If you don't, you're an idiot. It is a form of gaslighting, actually. Like, obviously, and if you think otherwise, you're wrong. You're an idiot. You don't know anything. It's kind of my next question answer, as I call it. Like, obviously, they know I wasn't lying about anything. This is anything but obvious, which is why he feels the need to inject that. And none of this is necessary. They obviously know I wasn't lying about anything. Well, I want to have the results, not your interpretation telling me it was in your favor. And they obviously know you were not lying about anything. What do you mean, obviously no? Whether or not I even look at the polygraph and the results depends on whether or not I'm going to be able to get the exact questions that were asked of you. Many people pass who are guilty, and some people even fail when they're innocent, sometimes because guilty knowledge or sometimes just feeling responsibility because maybe they didn't watch their child as they should have, and they don't want to be. One guy, he was high while the daughter walked out and got kidnapped. He was a suspect, but he didn't want to tell what state he was in. He didn't want to be charged with that. It didn't mean, and he failed the polygraph, and that didn't mean that he did something to his daughter. It simply meant that something else triggers the senses that you're trying to hide. The fear. Fear is a huge trigger of the senses within the polygraph test. The obvious, remember, obvious and you know. Those two terms are red flags when somebody says, well, obviously. Katie Proudfoot said, I went to sleep, obviously. Right? At midnight, I went to sleep, obviously. No, you didn't. No, you didn't, because that's when it all began. The removal of Sebastian from his home. That was a prime example. He is lying. Obviously, no, I wasn't lying. This is indicating that he was lying about anything. He was lying about a lot of things. As time goes by, all of you will realize how similar statements are among guilty parents, be it Chris Watts, be it Katie Proudfoot, be it Daniel Martell. Very similar patterns here.
So they said, yeah, great, thank you, come in for a polygraph test.
Yeah, it took a little while to set up. And
when did you do that test?
I don't know the exact date, but that would be at least 3 weeks ago, probably.
So roughly 3 weeks after the disappearance.
Yeah.
And I think most Canadians wouldn't have any idea what's involved with that. Can you describe the process? You go in and just tell us right from the start.
We go in, sit down in a big comfy chair, and they have multiple sensory pads. You have them under.
Big comfy chair. He wanted to be comfortable. He was very nervous, remember? He said that he was very nervous, so he wanted to be comfortable and calm himself down. That was a challenge for him. He's telling us it was a challenge. It wasn't a routine. Let's get this over with and go find Jack and Lily. Because that would be the motivation for a parent to take a polygraph. Okay, so you're suspecting me, I'm the stepfather or I'm the father, and I was, okay, yes, I understand. Listen to the grandmother. Was she offended by the cops interrogating her? Which they probably did very nicely, though, in her case, because they knew she had, they didn't think she had anything to do with it. Well, they may have thought she may know something about Cody having done something, because apparently they interrogated him for quite some time. So, but she was not at all offended by that. She said Cody got angry, but she said, no, they got to do what they got to do. And they got to clear me so they can move on and find the children. It's not about, I was nervous about the questions. Said, no, please. Okay, I understand. This is nothing. Having me in the back of a police car, right? That's what it was, right? So they asked, how much time did they spend with her? An hour or two? I don't know. No, I understand. That's nothing. When your children or grandchildren are missing, this is nothing, people. This is absolutely nothing. You will go through whatever. Okay, anything else, anything you need me to clear up so you can stop looking in the wrong direction and go find the children. He makes sure he's comfy, and they have multiple sensory pads. Okay, you have them
underneath your forearms, you have them underneath your butt, and you have them underneath your feet with your shoes off. You have a sweat gland on one finger. You have a measuring instrument for blood flow that goes in and out of your hand.
A sweat gland, yeah, to see if your perspiration.
and you have a cuff on your arm for blood pressure to measure your pulse.
A cuff. You're gonna be in cuffs soon, dude.
Were you nervous?
Yeah, I was extremely nervous.
Extremely nervous. So, in the last one, we only saw the brief interview the last time, right? So, talking about a reliable statement here. Yeah, I was extremely nervous.
Especially with the first question they asked you, did you kill Lily and Jack?
Especially with the first question they asked you. Did you kill Lily and Jack? So my question is, did you kill either of them? Did you hurt them? Did you remove their bodies? There are so many questions I would ask. And you have to ask several questions in different ways to make sure there's no wiggle room. And as I've said before, I hope this wasn't the question that they asked. Did you kill Lily and Jack? Because let's say he did kill one of them. And he says no. He could say, in his mind, well, I didn't kill them both. I didn't kill Lily and Jack. You would have to ask, did you kill Lily? Did you kill Jack? And then also compare how the sensors hit on each one of them. They already had the control questions, but it will also help to compare how the sensors measure compared to other questions. He was extremely nervous. Would you be extremely nervous if you took a polygraph test when your children are missing? You'd be so worried for the children. And you didn't do anything, you had nothing to do with it, and you're wondering what the hell happened to them? That would be a routine. So he's honest here. He's telling us he was extremely nervous. I believe him. Not just nervous. She said, were you nervous? He said, extremely nervous. Yes, you were. Yes, you were. And there's a reason for that. A huge reason. Why was he nervous about this question? Well, what would he be hiding by saying no? Would the accurate answer be yes and no? Because Jack was out? If you really passed this question, but you were extremely nervous about it, especially about this question, then there was something within this answer you were not truthful about. So he said before, not a lot of people in Canada are doing this. Is that really the case? Maybe they don't have the right people to do it. If they asked, did you kill Jack and Lily and Jack, and didn't say, did you kill Lily, and then again, did you kill Jack, that would be some extreme incompetence on their part. And he says that was the first question, not the first two questions, not the first questions. So when I see this, I already think this polygraph may have been conducted in a very, very amateur fashion, where he could have been able to wiggle himself out. Remember when Chris Proudfoot was asked in the beginning, did you all take a polygraph? He said, yep, and the result is passed. Or the result is passed. Did he say is or are? The results are or the result is? I forgot. I want to say result is, because singular would be more accurate in terms of the result is passed for Katie, because she had taken one, but he did not, as he later admitted. And he said, well, you asked if we did it, and she did it, so I said yeah. And he would have probably passed the polygraph if this question was in there. Did you all take a polygraph? At new polygraph, just to see if the statement, if he took a polygraph with the question whether or not they took a polygraph. I think Chris Proudfoot would have passed it. Did you all take a polygraph? Yes, sure did. And the result is passed. Yes. Because he included himself with the person who took the polygraph. And so if he said no, in his mind, he could have excluded himself, excluded somebody that he may have hurt with the person he didn't hurt, who was already hurt. And again, Jack was out. That particular short statement is a red flag. So I've said it before. By the way, everything I'm saying is my opinion only. Everybody's innocent until proven guilty in the court of law. So what I was saying, something may have already happened to Jack. And he didn't kill Jack. But what happened to Lily? And this has been the question for me from the very beginning. And in my mind, I'm keeping all the options open. And it's not pretty what I'm thinking. And I'm waiting for a different possibility here. Other than him actually having done what he thought was justified in his own mind to silence her when maybe she kept screaming. And Julia, you're right. When he stood there at that birthday party when Lily was screaming and screaming, he didn't do anything, but probably because there were people around. And yes, I cannot imagine him being that passive, because he said they are very wild with Malaya, but well behaved with him. So he stepped back and he stood back and didn't apply his own ways to make them behave, whatever these ways may have been. And yes, when she moved in with Daniel, that's when she stopped bringing the Lily and Jack over to the grandmother, because maybe she didn't want the grandmother to see maybe, hey, Lily, why is your foot hurting? What happened to you? Because the bus driver said, she was kind of like, he described it almost like she was a hypochondriac, but I think she really had some issues there, where she felt like her foot was maybe broken or something like that. Maybe she was hurt at home, but either way, he was probably worried that the children may talk about what was going on in the house, and maybe grandmother would have called CPS. And he didn't want them to see their grandmother. He wanted to isolate them to the point where there were no witnesses. Nobody who would fight for the children actually saw a reason to do so. So this actually supports my very strong suspicion that I have just indicated to you guys. He was extremely nervous, especially about this one first question. Did you kill Lily and Jack? Idiot question. Yes, he may have actually passed. He may have gotten lucky actually, because maybe they really asked only some really stupid questions. Some rookie guy who just, okay, let's see what we got here. Okay, I did my job.
That was the first question they asked you.
Yeah.
And he's looking down. There's relief in that. And there's avoidance of eye contact. because there are different thoughts going in your head. Yes, on the one hand, okay, I passed this one, I got lucky with this, but there's actually something that I did that didn't come out.
What went through your mind when someone's asking you that question
Good
so
question.
point blank like that?
You are, no. Don't even start with this, Daniel. What went through your mind? You should say, I thought, put I there, put yourself, put the right pronoun there. I felt, I thought. Now he's generalized, trying to generalize that you're like, let's see what he says.
Your mind.
Your mind. We want you to say, my mind. I thought. And look how long he pauses. Now, if he was hooked up to the polygraph, the sensors would go off at this particular moment, because she's asking better questions than the polygrapher actually asked. She's doubling down on this. What's going through your mind right now? Of course, with the polygraph, you have a yes and no question, right? Is today Thursday? Is your name Daniel Martell? Yes. But when you ask a question where he actually has to come up with an answer other than yes or no, it gets a little more difficult, because now you see the inner turmoil. And you realize that he doesn't want to tell you what was actually on his mind. Because what was on your mind? Well, I didn't kill them both, so I'm cool. Allegedly, right? That's what I'm actually thinking, or that's where I'm allowing my mind to go. Until I have a better explanation for why Jack was already out. Jack was out. And Lily kept coming into his room multiple times. What happened to Lily? Did she start screaming and screaming and screaming? And you silenced her? Is that possible? I'm open to any other possibility here. I'm letting his language guide me. So no, I'm not going to waste my time listening to a cousin or anybody unless somebody points out something to me where I feel like, okay, I need to pay attention now. Until then, no. Daniel is saying enough. And even though I'm taking my time right now, that may still not be enough time for me. Your mind. Daniel, don't worry about my mind. Our minds. Don't worry about it. Let's see. Wow. This talkative dude. Can you believe it? This guy who talks up a storm in his interviews, who can't shut up. Excellent question, ma'am. Excellent. What was your name again? Starts with a K, I think, or a C. Thank you to the person who sent this to me. Thank you so much. Because I was working on something completely different. And I saw this and I said, hallelujah. There we go. Look at him. Just look at him. Daniel Martell. He cannot tell you what went through his mind. I love this.
Has a massive release of chemicals, I guess you would call them.
What? What the hell are you talking about, dude? Are you a chemist or what? Your
mind has a massive release of chemicals, I guess you would call them.
What? That sounds like he went on YouTube, or on Google before. Yeah, maybe YouTube actually also before taking a polygraph and trying to figure out what happens and how you can beat it. This doesn't sound like, this. This is almost like when Chris Proudfoot says, "I'm not privy to that," or "I can't divulge," right? Where he's using a terminology that Katie had just, "I can't divulge." Katie had just recently introduced to him via her script that is not part of his language pattern. And he's going there. Let's see the exact question this lady actually asked him. This is good.
The first question they asked you.
Yeah. Yeah.
What went through your mind when someone's asking you that question so point blank like that?
Your mind.
What went through your mind? What were you thinking, Daniel? You need a translator or what? What were you thinking at that time? Not the chemical process of your brain that you may have read up on somewhere. What happens when you lie doing a polygraph test? Well, there are chemicals running through your brain, or what?
Has a massive release of chemicals.
Has a massive release of chemicals. Has. Not I had a massive release of chemicals. This sounds more like it's part of a sentence that he read somewhere, right? A person lying during a polygraph has a massive release of chemicals. No, we want to know what you were thinking, bro. What exactly were you... And are you duping delighting us here? Because you see, in this particular moment, he looks like he is a success story. He feels like a success. Like he duped all of us with his polygraph examination.
I guess you would call them.
I guess you would call them.
It's like your stress levels just astronomically through the roof.
Ah. In that case, the senses should have been notified. You're giving us actual reasons why, you shouldn't have passed this. Because stress levels are being indicated. Fear, stress, and such. Astronomical through the roof. You're giving us reasons why you shouldn't have passed it, dude. It's like he's minimizing. And he's minimizing while actually exaggerating with astronomical. So, was it so stressful for you to take the polygraph that you actually feel the need to release some of the pressure verbally talking about it right now? Almost sounds like you won a football game and you're talking about in exaggeration how tough it was, how hard of a battle it was. But you say like before, like your stress levels just astronomically through the roof. He was extremely stressed and he doesn't know how to say it specifically. So he exaggerates and minimizes at the very same time. Anything to avoid what he was really thinking specifically. What were your exact thoughts, Daniel? That's what we want to know.
And your body doesn't know what to do.
Your body, you see? It's like he's holding a speech. It's like he's a professor in university, teaching how somebody will react to a polygraph examination, or what happens during a polygraph examination when somebody's lying. What do you mean your body doesn't know what to do? When you're telling the truth and only the truth and nothing but the truth, you will sit there and you will answer the questions and that's it. Am I done? Did I pass? Okay, great. May not even say, did I pass? Okay, I'm done. Well, people would probably ask, did I pass? Is this okay? Is everything good? Okay, can we move on now? Now to what matters, and the only thing that matters, finding Jack and Lily. Not always, people online always want to know what happened. No. You go to the only thing that you want to know, where Jack and Lily are. Yes, your body will know what to do. You sat in a comfy chair. You're not wiggling.
Because it's not every day the way you're hooked up to machines in an interrogation room where
Uh-oh. Really? Now he's trying to backtrack by making himself sound like he was extremely uncomfortable for other reasons, other than the question. But he already told us, especially with the first question. He said, especially with the first question, he was extremely nervous. And he was hooked up to the machine the whole damn time. But especially the first question. What was the machine where you there was no difference between how the machine was hooked up in that particular question and the other questions. So now he's like, I need to go a little bit, I need to step back a little bit here and make it sound like they really did a number on me, man. It was an interrogation room, I was hooked up and it was really scary. And no, dude, you already told us.
someone asks you questions like that.
What other kinds of questions did they ask you?
All the questions pertain to the death of Lily and Jack.
Uh-oh. All the questions, what? Are they dead? How do you know, Daniel? All the questions pertain to the death. The death. They are dead and he knows it. I want to know what the exact questions were. I would love to know. What questions could they have asked that can only be answered with yes or no? That had death of Lily and Jack in it? Or is that was on his mind only, and the questions were not necessarily about death, but more than, did you have something to do with it? I would love to know. Let's hear it again.
Interrogation room where someone asks you questions like that.
What other kinds of questions did they ask you?
All the questions pertain to the death of Lily and Jack.
The death of Lily and Jack. Not what could have happened to Lily and Jack, not the possibility, but to their death. Their death. He is telling us that Lily and Jack had died already. And he knows it. Remember when Jerry McCain talked about Madeleine and said something like, they cannot implicate us in her death? And this well-known Madeleine McCain case tweets Twitter account said, whoopsie daisy, she's dead? He's telling us that Jack and Lily are dead, people. They are dead.
Are you accessory to the murder of Lily and Jack.
Are you accessory to the... Okay, so maybe they asked that, right? But if you don't think they're dead, and if you don't know they're dead, you would not say to their death. All the questions were related to their belief or the possibility that Jack and Lily may be dead, or may have been killed, or may have been murdered. But he would rather say death, because he doesn't want to call himself a murderer. He's avoiding that. He's avoiding any kind of responsibility or connection at first. So is that a question that they ask you, are you accessory to the murder of Lily and Jack? Yeah, they may have asked that. Again, that would be a very stupid question, because they would have to separate. Are you an accessory to the murder of Lily? Are you an accessory to the murder of Jack? They should have to separate these and make this two questions. They gave him a lot of wiggle room here. Let's say he heard one of them. You can pass like that. No, I didn't kill Lily and Jack. Wow. So their death, before, he wanted to avoid saying murder, but now saying, quoting an exact question, he uses it as I think it may have been asked. He didn't want to go there himself at first. He acknowledged they are dead, but he doesn't want to identify how they may have died. But again, I think this is a major goof here on the part of the polygrapher, a major one.
They were all,
So all of the questions assumed that the children are no longer alive.
yeah.
There were no questions at all about, did you take them somewhere? Could
No.
they be somewhere?
So that tells us exactly what police are thinking. They don't think the kids are alive at all. And they're suspecting him. And I cannot see whom else they suspect.
No.
The police have done a number of...
And this is a very short answer, right? This is reliable. Did you take them somewhere? No. Police doesn't even consider this.
polygraph tests. They've done 53 formal interviews. Do you know who these people are?
Yeah.
That's a lot of interviews.
It is a lot of interviews. A lot of them are my family, people that live in the area. And those interviews, typically, my interview was 4 hours. And a lot of the interviews from my family were 1 2 hours. So there's a lot of time taken up, and they ask detailed questions.
Time taken up.
Do you know who else actually took a polygraph test?
I mean, I do, but I'm not going to say anything that's going to impede the investigation.
Okay.
I see. Your brother? Your mother? This may indicate that these people are, whoever else had to take a polygraph or took a polygraph, is close to him. And he doesn't want the public to know that these people could have been suspects, or at least been suspected of hiding something. And I don't know if Malaya has taken one. I mean, wow, how can we not know that? I mean, that's just so odd how absolutely, on the one hand, everything is so sealed and secretive. On the other hand, you have so much, wow. Yeah, he doesn't want to tell us. Because he doesn't want to tell us why they would have to take a polygraph.
When did you find out the result of your test?
Immediately right after.
What did they say to you?
You did a good job, you Pat.
Look at his grin. The duping delight. There, right there, right there. Look at him. Compare this to how he first appeared on television, being all tore up and fake crying and facial expressions, and then looking up in the camera to make sure if he's done all right, or at the cameraman or at the reporter. And look at him, dude. Again, if you know somebody who doesn't know what this is about, play to them this part of the interview and mute it. Or show them the picture and say, what do you think this guy is talking about? I said it before, when you do it with Chris Watts, people will probably say about a baseball game he talked about, not about missing children.
Yes.
And how did
And again, okay,
that feel?
Good.
Good. And
did you feel that there was any further suspicion on you after that point, or was that sort of conclusive?
No, that was really when I seen the turning point for it's starting to taper off with investigators.
yeah, they may have backed off a little bit, but you see, this is telling us that he was really investigated and he really felt that he was a suspect, but he didn't tell us that. He told us numerous times, they knew I had nothing to do with it. Right? He lied. What did they taper off of? All of that he avoided. When he tried to tell us, he wasn't a suspect at all.
Do you know if Malaya has taken one?
I don't know if I can say it, but I will anyway. Yes, she did take one.
Okay, she took one. Do you know the result?
No. RCMP weren't allowed to tell me I asked.
I believe that. No. Very short answer, no. RCMP weren't allowed to tell me. I asked. I believe you. I believe that you asked. Why did you ask? Why did you ask? Because if she failed, then they would go deeper and deeper. And then there's a chance she's going to say the whole story. Right? And maybe then they will realize you guys were together in bed, allegedly. You guys were together, right? She was in bed, asleep next to you, and that would implicate you as well, dude.
You said you feel like...
Okay, people. I'm going to be back to continue.